we are, and we don't have as much time as I hoped, because I'm late, and we'll vote, but here we are, here we go. So, I remember a couple things that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if I have time to do it all, but I want to try, okay? I want to try. I've been asked to talk about reconciliation, right? The sacrament of confession, as it's sometimes called. And what I want to do with that, actually, is I want to take a step back a little bit. I know that you guys have done some evenings leading up to this that have been more along the lines of like, who is this God, and what is he calling us to do, and like, what does it mean to follow him, I guess. And so real quick, I want to introduce you to somebody that's kind of a recent historical figure. What comes to mind when I say it's a name? What comes to mind when I say the name LaGuardia? Airport, right? That makes sense. Okay. And you know what's kind of cool? It's a guy who they named an airport after, which is kind of impressive. That's something that we can all strive for, maybe our own personal airport in the future. But this guy, LaGuardia, he was actually the 99th mayor of New York City, whereas the airport is in New York, right? And he is considered to be one of like the top 3 American historical mayors in America's history. He's just this incredible, like, larger-than-life figure, which is funny because he was only 5'2". His name was Fiorello LaGuardia, which is just unfortunate. But anyway, he was he made himself known. You know, little people do that sometimes. No offense to anybody, but they just say over and say it. It's but they do that, right? And that's what he did. He just made himself known. He was famous for having this like top hat kind of thing that he always had with him, so you'd see it like kind of bobbing along the shoulders of everybody else. And then he would just step up onto something and he demanded attention. This guy loved his job and he loved his city. And he just devoted himself to it entirely. He was super involved in everything. He was taking advantage of things like when these things like they were just up and coming. He had his own like radio station where he connected with the people. By the way, he was mayor during 1934 to 45, which if you know your history, that includes the Great Depression and a World War. So he was, the mayor of one of the biggest and most important cities in the world during 2 of the most difficult times in our recent, history. So you either kind of really mess it up or you really step it up. And he stepped it up. And he was famous for just kind of showing up randomly at random things. He would hear about a field trip for elementary school kids, and the next thing you know, he's driving the bus. And he spends the day with the kids. He rarely missed a police raid. He hated crime in his city. He hated anything that tainted the reputation of his beloved city. And so that when there was some sort of organized police raid, he'd be there. He'd be like in outfit. I mean, he had nothing to offer any skills, but like he was there. He always brought the media too, so because he wanted to like show everyone this is not welcome in my city. He just made a statement. He would ride on the fire truck to a fire. He was just always there. And so one night, there's this famous story of one night, cold night in January. He shows up at a courthouse in this poor section of the city. And I don't think you're allowed to do this, but he did it anyway. He actually showed up and he told the judge to take the night off, and he sat down in the seat and took the bench over. Again, I don't think you're allowed to do that, but this is this guy that kind of like, I don't know, things that might not have been appropriate, he just kind of went for it. So he sits down and everybody's like, the mayor doing his thing, right? And the first case that they present him with is this tattered little old lady. And she shows up and she presents her case like she's there being charged with stealing a loaf of bread. Now this is during the Great Depression, okay? Just to give you some context. She's there by this shop owner, has had her arrested and charging her with theft, stealing a loaf of bread. And but he hears her story, and her story is her daughter's husband left her. She's living with her daughter, but her daughter's husband left, and her daughter is sick. And her 2 grandkids are starving. And she really just got so desperate and had nothing that it led her to this point where she had to steal to eat. And this guy, this mayor, he hears the story, and there's all these people in the courthouse at the time, and everybody's just kind of like, oh man, what do we do about this? This is awful. Yeah, she's guilty, but this is awful, And so the mayor, in his wisdom, he says, listen, the law makes no exceptions, and you're guilty. so I charge you. I charge you with a $10 fee, which might as well have been $10,000. This woman had nothing. It was the Great Depression. I charge you with either a $10 fee or 10 days in prison. And there's kind of just like this, oh my gosh, it seems a little heavy too, like how do we get out of this? 10 days in prison, and if her daughter is really sick, she might pass away, what would happen to her grandkids? You just have to imagine the despair that would overcome this woman in this moment. And, but before the mayor finishes speaking, he says, I give you this, I charge you with this, because the law makes no exceptions, so you're guilty. You gotta pay. But before he even finishes, he takes his hat, and he takes out a $10 bill, and he drops it in his hat. I charge you $10, which I now pay. He says, and furthermore, he looks out at everybody in the courtroom, he says, furthermore, I charge everyone here 50 cents for living in a town where an old woman would have to steal to feed her starving grandchildren. And he gives the hat to the bailiff. He says, bailiff, pass the hat. And his hat begins to make its way around the courthouse. And everybody who could, the bailiff's like, come on, put in 50 cents. And then it gets back to the judge, to the mayor, right? And he gives it to this woman and sends her on her way. The crime has been paid for. And this woman walks out, and actually reported it the next day in the newspaper. I wish I had my iPad, I had it word for word. But it's something along the lines of, this bewildered woman was sent on her way after being charged and found guilty of theft, with $47 in her pocket. Sent away, while everyone, as she walked out, gave the mayor a standing ovation. What a neat experience. What a cool twist of events. And it's a perfect analogy for our God. Because our God, it's not our job to judge people. In fact, we're not supposed to. But it is in God's job description to judge. He is the judge. But he is that kind, loving, and merciful judge. And he made it very clear from the very beginning that the punishment for sin, the wages of sin, is death. And so we're guilty. We have fallen in sin. So somebody's got to pay that price, because that's justice. We have a just God. So somebody's got to die. He says, if somebody's got to die, let it be me. I will pay that price. And so here we are, you and I. We're not innocent. We're guilty. But we're free. But we're free because our price has been paid. And we're set free, better off than we ever could have thought, right? To go and live our lives, and to be blessed. This woman sent off. She had nothing. She arrived guilty and left with, what would probably be the equivalent of like $1,000 today. To go and to take care of her daughter, her grandkids. God gives us every advantage, and yet he demands justice. And so he gives us an out. And the out is himself, but we also play a role. He gave us this great gift, and it's the most awkward thing in the church. Reconciliation. Confession. Where we take all of the things that we're most ashamed of, the things that we've done, the things that hold us down. We carry these burdens, okay? Because we have a conscience. As rational beings, we have a conscience. And when we have something that we're guilty of, that guilt literally weighs us down. It can have a physical toll on our body, on our person. And so we have this great gift where we can go in and we can meet Jesus himself, which is what every sacrament is. It's an encounter with Jesus. We meet him in the confessional, in the person of the priest. We meet Jesus. And the whole point of confession is to set you free. Confession is victory. It is where saints are made. It's what it is. It's why priests become priests. They want to bring you Jesus and set you free. You go to confession and you're like, oh, I want to do this. You're literally like, that's a gift to the priest. This is why you became a priest. Let's give you the chance to practice your priesthood, right? And there's the actual healing that takes place in us. When we take something that we're not proud of, some burden that we carry, something we've done, something that's happened to us, whatever it might be, when we take that thing
you just tuck it away and try to like leave it, it just festers. It just grows. It reminds me of, I was trying to think of something. It reminds me of when I was a kid, my parents had this little cabin in Vermont. And one night, for whatever reason, we took out a bunch of gummy candy. We were eating gummy candy, which was good. But then we decided, let's we would put like a gummy bear in our mouth, take it out, and then stick it to the ceiling. Throw it up and stick it to the ceiling, right? And the next day, all of it fell down, save one. This gummy bear would not come down. And it was up there for years. It never fell down. We sold the place. Yeah. But I felt like after a little while, it took on a different color and kind of grew. And I felt like at some point it was going to walk away. Like it just became something else, something gross and like living, it was like going to hurt me in my sleep, right? And that's what happens with our sins when we try to hang on to them. We think that, it's just some sin, especially the ones that you don't think matter, they're not a big deal, right? Those are the ones that can really fester and grow that come back later to bite you. You have people who literally will go their lives, they'll live 50, 60, 70 years holding on to these things that they've done when they were young. And all of a sudden you hear a story about they go to confession in their 70s, and they walk out and they're just a whole new person. They've released this thing that has been weighing on them for their entire lives. There's a physical and emotional release when we take these things that we're ashamed of and we make them real. We own up to them in the confessional by speaking them to the priest. And we're so ashamed in that moment. And then they're gone. And that's just so beautiful. That is so cool. What a gift. What a gift from our merciful and loving God. He did not make us to be burdened. He did not make us to be ashamed and broken and wounded. He created us to live this magnificent life full of purpose and meaning. To be free from that junk which might limit us in that great vocation to love and share his light and mercy with the world. And that's confession. We need it. And we're expected to. As Catholics, we're expected to go to it. And so I would make a habit out of it. Whether it's a monthly is a great thing to shoot for. Try to get to confession monthly. I try to get monthly at least. And the thing that kind of bothers me is that my parish, I've never once waited. There's never once been someone else in there before me. And that kind of like breaks my heart, The worst gift is not the gift that you're not grateful for, it's the one you still use. And this great gift is just not being utilized. And so, and I'm probably out of time, but just in that little, this little time we've had together today, I just want to, remind you that gift is there for the taking and should be practiced. And literally, as awkward as it may seem, and all that goes along with it, it's all for your benefit. It's all to set you free, to set you on your way for the glory of God, to build up the kingdom, and to just do your thing, as God intended you to be. So, by all means, do that. And if you're worried that the priest is going to judge you, and he's going to know your sins afterwards, it's going to be awkward, you just got to get over that. I've talked to a lot of priests about this. First of all, if they say anything that you did in the confessional, they're straight up fired. Yeah, like the Pope's like, no, they're gone. So it's like if they want to keep their job, which is important, they're not allowed to, first of all. But also the other thing is they don't care. Like they've heard everything. You can't scandalize a priest, not these days. You can't scandalize a priest. And so you just get rid of it. Just say it. You know that if you hold on to a grave sin in confession, if you hold on to it because you're like, I don't want to talk about that one, I'm going to just keep that one, it's actually more sinful. It adds sin to you to hold on to it. Because it's almost like you're insulting God. You don't think I'm merciful enough? Right? You can't out-sin God.